Universities across the country are once again experiencing student protests. Classes at Wits, Durban University of Technology, Vaal University of Technology, and the University of KwaZulu-Natal have been disrupted over the past weeks. Students are protesting over registration, historic debt, and accommodation, among other issues. The South African Union of Students says that 9 universities nationwide will continue protesting after an unsuccessful weekend meeting with Higher Education Minister Naledi Pandor. To discuss how the Department of Higher Education and Training plans to tackle this issue now, I'm joined by its Deputy Minister Buti Manamela. Good evening, Mr. Manamela. Thanks very much for your time. Perhaps first, the reasons why the weekend meeting collapsed from where you as the department sit.
Well, the meeting over the weekend did not collapse. The meeting concluded with several commitments made by the student union, by the department, by the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, and also by the minister. And what we've seen over since yesterday was that, yes, in some universities there has been, suspension of academic programs, as you mentioned, VUT, TUT, and the Durban University of Technology and UKZN. But in the overall, we've also witnessed some universities resuming their academic programs, such as Wits. And I think the emphasis that we need to make here also is that most of the NSFAS issues have been resolved, and most of the accommodation issues, as we've agreed in the meeting, are not things which we can resolve overnight, and are things which the institutions have to focus on in order to deal with them. The minister has made a commitment that before the end of March, she will be making an announcement, something which we agreed with the student leadership on the question of the historic debt. And so, as far as we're concerned, the institutions which are still continuing with protest have got their own unique institutional challenges, and that's why the reports we're getting is that this morning, for instance, at VUT, the SRC is locked up in meetings with management, and the same applies in all the other institutions. But we in general are quite confident that the situation is actually stabilizing in those institutions which were affected over the last few weeks.
Are you then suggesting that none from the discussions you had at the weekend with all the stakeholders, the deal or deals that you broke there remain, and everybody has honored their part of the bargain? But what we are seeing now happening at these other institutions that I mentioned right at the beginning has got to do with what you call unique institutional challenges pertaining to those particular universities.
Yes, and I think it's important that we make that emphasis. For instance, we've been encouraging university management to engage with SRCs and with the student leadership in general, because in some instances, management believes that if you ignore the students, the problems will go away. But in other instances, it has to do with the kind of terms and conditions that the universities put as it relates to returning students. So that's the question of historical debt, and therefore institutions are dealing with those issues, in their own unique way. And in that way, we've seen, those disruptions. But what we have committed as the department and as the ministry is that we will provide every support that we can to all the institutions where we are facing, challenges, especially with issues that we believe can be resolved in the immediate. However, the issues that you've raised around historical debt, the issues around some of the challenges with NSFAS, the issues around student accommodation, all of those are, both challenges in the short and medium and long term. So it's not issues that, can go away now. And therefore, we are encouraging institutions to find solutions to sort out, the crisis as they are. But we are quite confident that most institutions should be able to resume with their academic programs as soon as possible.
I want to play a soundbite of EFF leader Julius Malema speaking this afternoon at the National Assembly, where I presume you were as well. Let's just take a listen.
I have nothing wrong with Minister Naledi Pandor. Schools, people are being killed. Universities are burning. She's nowhere. What are we going to see? We're going to find General Bekikele, the one who's fighting the protesters. The protesters are not looking for police. They are looking for a minister of education to go and help them. We have seen Bekikele everywhere.
Are you concerned at all as the ministry and the department at how higher institutions tend to deal with uprisings within their premises?
Look, I think, Mr. Malema's sentiments, are quite unfortunate. The minister has been to the universities. She has met with the student leadership on Saturday together with the department. I've also personally been to, 4 or 5 of the provinces in most of our universities. So we are on the ground interacting with the situation, trying to understand, but also trying to give them the support. That's the first. The second thing is that I think it's quite unfortunate what happened at DUT, where the private security companies had ammunition and basically shot at a student. We've condemned that, and the minister asked for an investigation and swift action to be taken against the security guard who was, responsible for, for all of that. And what we have done was to, as I said earlier on, encourage university management to open up their doors and engage with the student population. And one matter that we really need to emphasize is that really we have to have students desisting from violent protests, from burning down university property, because we do not think that that's what needs to happen. The department has given all the support, and together with the ministry, all the support that institutions need. We've opened up our doors to the student leadership at all material times, and to the unions and everybody else who've got concern. And we'll continue to do that until we ensure that every last student is in class, is being lectured, and they're on course to complete their qualifications.
Very quickly, when is the minister scheduled to make that announcement on the historical debt?
As I said, she committed in the meeting on Saturday that she will be making an announcement before the end of March. I think what is important to note is that there are serious budgetary implications on this, and therefore discussions between Treasury and the Presidency are being accelerated so that we're able to once and for all deal with this particular matter.
Thank you very much, the Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela.